Okay, so let's start second half of the morning session and continue from Korea University. So this session will consist of two invited talks. The first one will be given by Professor Aurélien Manchon from KAUST about spin orbit talks in global materials.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I would like to thank the organizers of Topological for inviting me to present this work. So first, zero congratulations. Thank all these guys here who really helped me understand and try to have new ideas in this exciting field of spin orbit torque. I also thank my group here, that's a very old teacher for us. Basically, the guys who are going to present the work of are the three people here, Hagen, Han, and Baba. Okay, so let's start with some premises. I think basically this whole field of spin orbit torque started like 200 years ago, where this guy, Gustav Magnus, came with this idea of the Magnus force. And he actually took some time to put that in a device, but at the end of the day. So it's about throwing spinning balls. So you take a ball, you just throw it in the air, actually turns, it spins around itself. And because there is an environment with air, the air is not flowing the same way on both sides of the ball. Just because you have basically the rotation of the ball plus the velocity of the air flow around. So there is a difference of pressure on both sides here that would actually push the ball on the side. So if you send a spinning ball in the air, it would actually bend its trajectory. It doesn't go straight through, just because it's spinning. So that's the Magnus force. Obviously, we can see that in everyday life. So one of the most important events of the past 10 years is the World Cup selection, 1997, where France was beaten by Brazil. It's very hard for me to show you today. So this is Roberto Carlos here. You have the French wall here, the goal behind. And what actually Roberto is doing is that he's actually throwing the ball in this direction here, but making it spin. And it spins so fast that actually the effect is non-linear. It was a scientific paper where French guys were actually calculating the trajectory, showing that it's actually non-linear effect. It's not linear. Because linear would actually go out of the hole here. So, actually the trajectory bends, goes around the wall. We actually have no idea what's going to happen. But it's actually happening. And, okay, I'm not basically about this, but so, if you apply that to condensed matter, we have like spin up and spin down, and we actually have the two leaders of this very beautiful spinol demonstration here. So you have spin up and spin down electrons, so they are rotating in different directions. Well, that's a very good point. No, it's actually linear because we are doing a linear. It's actually, it would actually be interesting to see if you have non-linear effects. So that would be as function of the velocity, as function of the flowing curve. That would be interesting. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway. So basically, because you have these two spinning balls just distribute on the sample, and you can have a spin accumulation. So that's spin Hall effect. But now, if you want to prevent the ball from having a distorted trajectory, there's one very nice way to do it. Is actually to make the ball spin around the trajectory direction. That's typically what happens in the. We do have a few Americans here, so. When you actually throw a ball, in American football, for example, and if you are hunters, it's actually what's happening in your gun. You have this riffling of the gun barrel that actually makes the bullets spin on its trajectory. So, okay, if you want to send this ball, you actually have to make it rotate along this trajectory. That's actually why the position of the hand is very important, because you have to make it rotate so that it goes straight. So if you apply that to condensed matter, what's happening is that, well, you have again, spin up and spin down. So basically, in principle, you have two types of rotations. So if you just apply this system in a, you apply the mechanism in a system where you have inversion symmetry, well, basically, there is no reason why the electron should go along one particular direction. But if you go in a system where it's inversion symmetry breaking, what you end up with is an inverse galvanic effect. So you send a current, and all the electrons want to be along one particular. The electron spin wants to go in one particular direction. So that's obviously depends on the environment here. In in the air, basically. But if you go for a continuous matter, then we know that we have actually different forms of environment and of spin coupling, and we're going to have branch larges and halves and so on, and different orientation of the spin. So what can we do with that? Something I've been doing for the past 10 years in the spin-orbit torque. So this has been done, so you basically send a current in the system, and those different effects, spin hole and inverse negative effect, and even more, create torques on the magnetic layer. Here what you need is to have symmetry breaking in one way or another. So this has been done in, let's say, multi-layers with inversion symmetry breaking at the interface. Can be done in bilayers, multi-layers, the same thing on ferromagnetic in the previous talk. You can always use a bulk system with inversion symmetry breaking at the unit cell level, and there have been actually some very beautiful work. Was actually the first demonstration of spin torque by Robinson's group. And now there's been much more work done by Thomas Lewis and Johan Lundavik, using galvanized manganese, nickel, manganese, antimony, and very recently copper manganese arsenide, which were the topic of the previous conference. Okay, so the basic understanding, and this is more like a reminder for those who are not very familiar with the field, but in this field we've been talking about that for really a long time. So you take this tri-layer, that's probably the most tricky system that we have to deal with. You take this tri-layer, you send a current. So here you have, let's say, heavy metal. You have a ferromagnet here, and you have some capping layer on top. So you send a current to the system. You can have spin Hall effect in the bottom of the heavy metal. This spin Hall effect injects spins in the magnet here. And the spin current in the magnet creates a damping torque. That's exactly like a spin Hall. Symmetrically, it's a spin Hall. Okay, now the physics is a bit more fun, but as far as the torque is concerned, this is really like a spin Hall. So that creates a damping torque. Now there is the other effect, which is the inverse negative effect, because you have this inversion symmetry breaking at the interface. Then you create directly spin density, and that will give you feedback torque. Okay, so that's the basic understanding. But okay, now we are actually having a lot of progress theoretically at this to show that, actually inverse negative effect, so this symmetry breaking at the interface, in the presence of magnetism can also create an additional correction that also looks like a damping torque, and with exactly the same symmetry as spin Hall effect. And that's coming from, let's say, incomplete spin absorption in this ultra-thin ferromagnet, which is highly probable because it's very, very, very thin. And also interesting magnetoelectric effect. Now, if you look at the spin Hall effect, it turns out that, again, if you consider that the spin is completely absorbed, that's actually a general rule of thumb. If the spin is not totally absorbed by a layer, you always have an M cross correction. So then you have M cross y, which actually gives you an M cross y, so it gives you feedback torque. So then you are to work on that, and we are still going there. And I'm gonna, so up to now, we were actually was not that bad, because although the correction to the Rajba torque, so was let's say up to 10%. Numerically, but again, is on this order. So basically, I would say the traditional image saying that damping is spin Hall and feel like is Rajba was more or less okay, and numerically, that's essentially what you see. And particularly because the correction to the spin Hall effect, the field correction to the spin Hall effect is really very, very, very tiny. And I'm going to mess up the picture and show you that if you have scattering with no Rajba, you can actually still have some decent feedback torque. Okay, so this is the outline of the talk. We're going to talk about more spin-orbit torque, obviously, especially topological insulators on the diamonds. And I will go beyond spin Hall effects, that's where I'm going to introduce spin swapping torque. And finally, I'm going to talk about a bit of current damping at that time. So basically, up to recently, the spin-orbit torque was essentially realized in either bulk, semiconductor, or multi-layers involving heavy metals. And very recently, there have been two publications by Connor's group and by Campbell's group on the spin torque in topological insulators, and they observed decent spin torque, sometimes absolutely amazing, and we still try to understand this huge damping-like torque that Campbell observes in topological insulator. So I think one of the interesting aspects of Campbell's experiments is the fact that there is a very strong angular dependence of the torque. that could actually be an interesting indication, something we should actually work on studying to see what's actually going on. So let's do a just hand-waving discussion about what should happen in topological insulators. So you have this band structure of this scenarii, because I have no idea about the band structure of this one. It's complicated for me. So I just take this scenarii. You have this Dirac code, and you have some bulk bands here. You see that by the way, you have some load transport quite easy. If you have let's say, n load here. So what we know that in topological insulator, we have surface state. Okay? The surface state is not purely a surface state. It extends over 1 to 2 nanometers. That's very important, because 1 to 2 nanometers is typically the spin diffusion length of that unit. I mean, that is extracted from experience. So I think we have to keep in mind that we're not dealing with a purely interfacial state. We're dealing with something that has a certain expansion in space. So we have, and that is also so you have this interface state, and this interface state is Dirac state. So you have basically inverse Mendelian effect and magnetoelectric effect magnetization. But on top of that, because you have disorder in the bulk. You may have some transport from the bulk, and in this case, this transport should behave, and having a paper from Michael Flatte on that, is expected to behave, let's say, like typically a fantastic platinum. Okay? But that's platinum. It's bulk transport with spin coupling, so there is no rough stuff, you can just have spin on it. So typically, when you measure something out of it, if you measure the density at the interface, you should have both contribution, the spin density. Now, if you put ferment on top of that, you have to know what that means. Because you have interface magnetism, you have orbital hybridization that's very tricky to understand. You have defects also, and so on and so forth. So let's just, remove this guy for now and just look at what would happen in a regular topological insulator. So what you can measure is the spin density. Okay, and that's a rule of thumb that I think I learned from probably 10 years of experiment of Professor Tanni and spin Hall effect, that what you measure is never a spin Hall current, you always measure a spin density, you measure a chemical potential. So you always have to convert the spin current into a chemical potential at the end of the day. So what I'm looking at now is, okay, why is the spin density at the interface, where is it coming from? And there is actually an interesting, a very simple calculation to make. Let's assume that, let's look at the spin density that you would get in the case if you have a Dirac state, and the spin density that you would get in the case where you have spin Hall effect. Okay, so we have nice theories for that, and we can actually calculate the spin density that we get in the case of a Dirac cone with, let's say, 10 minus 10 electron volt per meter as the velocity here, and okay, you get this number. That's not really, I mean, the magnitude of this number doesn't really matter. But if you have a Dirac cone, you have this number here. Now let's assume that, okay, well, I don't assume that I have a Dirac cone. I don't consider that I have any interfacial state. I consider that everything is coming from that bulk. That I have a spin Hall effect. There has been some interpretation of the experiment that was only based on spin Hall effect. And we arrive at some interesting numbers at the end of the day. Because if you assume that no, everything is coming from the spin Hall effect, the spin Hall angle that you need is, well, okay, here it's like around 6, but you can do parameters, but basically, globally, it's much more than 1. So you have systematically, if you completely disregard the impact of the interfacial state, you usually have a spin angle that exceeds 1, and you can have actually 10 or 100. So that we actually give you like 10,000% or something like that. So I think one has to be extremely careful when we interpret the data, that basically we probably have those two effects coming together, and I think wondering whether a spin Hall effect can excess 100% is probably a good question to keep in mind. So, well, that's the direction we are working on now, trying to understand maybe this interplay. And we start with the simple stuff we can do, which is like the spin torque in a two-dimensional magnetic topological insulator. So there'll be a lot of work on this topic, but actually I've never seen any actual calculation of it. So I wanted to look at the torque symmetry from it's a regular Spintronics point of view. And okay, we're using Kubo formula to test correction and so on. And what we get is this kind of shape. So let me point just two important aspects. Okay, we have the inverse Mendelian effect and cos Z plus T. Exactly what you have for Rajva. Okay, nothing crazy here. We have the correction, which is n cross this guy. So this is a magnetoelectric effect. So it's very well known. That's one of the characteristics of topological insulator. That this guy, in the case in the case where you are in the quantum state of a topological insulator, you actually have a quantum magnetoelectric effect. It's not quantum here because we're in the metallic regime. Okay? Which will be more like a realistic situation. But what is interesting is that this damping network, this is damping because it's actually even in magnetization, is zero if the magnetization is in plane. So this is something that is very well known from the topological topological insulator community. But when we Spintronics people do these measurements on the torque on topological insulator, that's something we actually tend to miss. So that's very important that typically, if you want to make sure that what you get is coming from the Dirac states, you should have this symmetry here. You should have this, basically the torque that here should be zero in the plane. And on top of that, you have a very strong angular dependence, which actually is much stronger than in the case of Rashba, for example. In the case of Rashba, you have to have a very large, a Rashba that is competing with the exchange. And here there is no kinetic term, so you are always systematically in the strong Rashba case if you want. So you have a very strong angular dependence and this weird magnetoelectric effect that is not exactly like a spin Hall effect. Okay, that's not true. Okay, we also can do because we like doing this kind of thing. So we developed this quantum kinetic equation and got the drift diffusion equation, so with the details. Okay, that's all we got. That's actually, so what we have here is obviously between the topological insulator and the ferromagnet, we are just both together. So I will spare you with the details of this equation. That basically you have a precession term here that gives you the torque, you have some relaxation, some spin charge coupling here, and some interesting anisotropic diffusive coefficient. And I would say most of it is known. The interesting thing is, I was wondering whether the diffusive torque would be different from the one when you just inject an electric field, which is not the case. You have the same thing. The electric coefficient are not the same just because we don't consider this fairly simple. We should do it. So again, angular dependence. So bottom line, it's just a different figure of the same thing. So bottom line, angular dependence and magnetoelectric effect. So two aspects that actually are interesting. But what we need to understand was, okay, what is the difference in terms of switching? So just imagine because that being this claim that topological insulators are fantastic for applications, especially for spin orbit torque, because you have this huge Dirac code. But actually, the Dirac code velocity is similar to the biggest Rashba we get. It's not like another magnitude larger. So if you look at the torque, you actually have something that is quite similar. And so what we want to look at is basically the impact of this magnetoelectric torque versus the impact of that we have the spin Hall torque. Okay, so just assume that you have the same magnitude of spin Hall torque, same that is as strong as your magnetoelectric torque. Assume that. And let's look at the impact on the dynamic of the magnetization. So we can get this nice phase diagram that was already proposed by Liu in 2012, where basically, depending on the inclined field and the applied currents, you basically have, you can basically switch from up to down direction of the magnetization. So this is just a benchmark, nothing crazy, everything is okay. Now, if you replace this n cross y cross n by this nz n cross x, the symmetry of the magnetoelectric effect, but you see that we have roughly the same. There are a few differences here that I'm not going to comment, but what is important is that to see that the switching here is actually, the current you need to switch magnetization is actually twice larger. And this is obvious, because when you expand n cross y cross n, okay, you find that basically the torque, just geometrically, the spin Hall torque is like the magnetoelectric torque plus something. So basically, in a sense, just geometrically, the magnetoelectric torque is just twice less effective than the spin Hall torque. So we always come back to the same story. Spin Hall effect is fantastic. We can try to put Rashba, Dirac, and so on. At the end of the day, spin Hall is exactly the job. So we actually extended this kind of study to over two-dimensional materials. So there has been a lot of work on those systems, and particularly from the spin pumping viewpoint. Because what you can remember is that you will have this very strong connection, or this Zondager reciprocity between spin torque and spin pumping. And there have been, spin pumping is probably even more used than the spin torque experiment, because whatever material you spin in your heart, you can do spin pumping and you have a spin. So there's been a lot of different materials. And more recently, on hexagonal lattices like graphene, was too, so just refer to those papers here. Okay, graphene doesn't have spin coating, so they have to make the trick to observe the spin injection. But MS2 does have spin coating, so you can directly see the spin charge conversion. So okay, you can expand that, and for theoreticians, it's fantastic because it's a very simple Hamiltonian that you can tune. And what is even better for us is that this is real. I mean, it's you can put graphene or you see something on, let's say, example, boron nitride and get this target potential. I mean, there is a very nice way of tuning those different parameters. And what is even more interesting that graphene is probably not the well, I don't know if graphene will actually hold these premises, but what is fantastic with graphene that it actually puts people to work on a lot of variety of materials that actually looks like graphene, but behave very differently from graphene. And I'm thinking about silicene, germanium, scalene, so which are graphene-like materials with much stronger spin coating. It's like 1,000 times larger than graphene. So then you can imagine that if you put these kind of materials on top of, let's say, permalloy and pump a spin current, then you can have a nice spin charge conversion. That actually will depend on the way you actually tune the Hamiltonian. So I would say, well, no Hamiltonian or other topics that I talked about, but what is interesting is that if you are able to break the value degeneracy, then you end up with a value-dependent torque, so value-dependent pumping. So that actually could be interesting in the case or in the context of the valuetronics research direction. Okay, now I would like to move on and just focus on the spin Hall effect. So let's remove all the random stuff, all the direct materials, and just look at the spin Hall effect. So the original theory of Michel-Jacob on spin Hall effect is based on not scattering. So you have an impurity with spin orbit coupling, you send a spin unpolarized current in it, and basically the field, the spin orbit field felt by this incoming spin will depend on the way it will scatter. So if it scatters up, let's say, if you have spin up, the spin is actually oriented on the spin orbit here. So if you have spin up, you're going to scatter up. I mean, let's say left here, and if you have spin down, you're going to scatter right. So this is the ball scattering. But the key here is that the spin is oriented along the spin orbit field. So the spin orbit field creates the quantization axis of the system. Now what happens if the spin is in the plane? And there was a very recent paper from Michel-Jacob again on this effect. It's interesting, like 40 years later, where you consider the other. And if you do that, okay, you still have this spin orbit field that is k cross k prime, so it's still perpendicular to the plane. And if the spin scatters left, you will actually turn in one direction. If it scatters right, you turn around the field in the other direction, because the field now is k cross k prime, so it's going down. So you have this, you actually create a spin current this way. So in summary, you send a spin current on the impurity, okay, obviously it's configuration and arranging and so on. Okay, part of it just is translated, and a part of it will actually be swapped. So you swap the direction of propagation and the spin direction. So you see here, you propagate this way, and the spin is vertical. You actually end up with a current with a spin current. So it's a spin current conversion. There is no charge spin conversion here. Okay, so on-integral reciprocity is proven. So you need a spin current to start with, and then you end up with a horizontal spin and vertical propagation. So we wanted to see whether it was robust, and for that we use quant. I want to say flowers to tell you because it changed my life with that thing. So we use basically a time binding code with random impurities on it, still a couple of impurities. And we use this very simple system. We have a ferromagnet with a heavy metal. We send a current. We should expect spin swapping, let's say, close to the magnet. And further, once we have completely flip the polarization of these, or let's say, relax the polarization of the independent current, we should have spin Hall effect. We have spin swapping and spin Hall effect. So we do this calculation, and indeed, depending on disorder, strength, and so on, close to the ferromagnet here, we have an accumulation that is along the longitudinal direction, this is the SX density. And beyond that, actually quite quickly I would say, we have an accumulation that is on Z, so perpendicular. So this is like the actual observation, and this is like the spin swap. So we basically have a code that can model spin swapping and spin Hall effect and spin relaxation on equal footing. What is interesting though is when you vary the disorder or vary the spin strength, those two effects behave very differently. So spin Hall effect is just linear in spin orbit coupling here. but it's actually very strongly dependent on the disorder strength. So it's an interesting role, because that's something we really forgot. You need strong you need strong disorder to get spin Hall effect. So that's a very important criterion for spin Hall effect. So spin Hall effect is a diffusive concept that works in the bulk. It doesn't work in the ultra-thin layer, as I'm going to show. But actually, spin swapping, if you reduce the disorder, you still actually have some decent spin swapping. Okay, at some point, obviously, if you remove the disorder, there's no spin swapping anymore. But it's much more robust when you reduce the disorder. And it has this non-linear dependence, which is coming from the fact that spin relaxation plays an important role in the onset of spin swapping. So what I wanted to see, what is the impact of that in this bilayer? So let's assume we have no rush basically coupling whatsoever. We just have disorder here, you send it around, so if you have a lot of disorder, then you know that you can have a strong spin Hall effect. Okay, you can have this torque that will be identified. But if you don't consider a system that has less impurities, then we know that we should actually kill the spin Hall effect. That's what I showed in the previous slide, because there is not enough impurity to scatter the electron at the end of the day. And what you have is this spin swapping, which is just a spin rotation. And the spin rotation, basically, if you consider an electron that basically visit all these bilayers, you actually pick a spin direction here, which is around the magnetization direction. And by scattering against an impurity, you also rotate by the field. So you're gonna end up with a polarization coming back to the ferromagnet. That would be N cross Z cross J. So it's actually N cross this guy. So you end up with a field like form. No rush bar at all. But the question is, how strong is it? I mean, is it completely, is it dreaming or is it true? So we did this calculation again with quant. And here I'm just showing very quickly two cases. So this is a case of strong relaxation. This is the spin density that is perpendicular to plane. So this is the spin Hall effect. And this is the spin swapping here. You see the spin swapping is very small. It's like 10 times smaller in this case, and very confined to the interface. Makes sense. It is confined within an infibab. And this guy behaves like what you would have, some quantum oscillation, but this is essentially what you would have from a diffusive point of view. And in this case, for most of the parameters, we have a strong damping like torque, so everything is fine here. There are some stuff here, but otherwise it's essentially damping like torque. Now if you reduce the disorder, what you find is actually you have the reverse scenario. So now, okay, I exchange those two diagrams. This is inside the spin Hall density, so the one perpendicular to plane, and this is the spin swapping density. So the spin Hall density is essentially a standing wave, so there is no injection into the ferromagnet. And this guy has actually, there's a lot of oscillation, but there is actually some distortion towards the ferromagnet. So at the end of the day, when you calculate the torque out of it, you end up with a field like torque, much stronger than the damping like torque. So if you actually look at the phase diagram of that, you end up with, in a certain region, with a dominating field like torque, and in a strong disorder region, dominating spin Hall torque. So field like and damping like. So, you have 2 more minutes? Fantastic, 2 more minutes. So I would like to conclude this talk by mentioning some work that we've done recently in the chiral damping theme, which has been, at least in the field of spin torque, kind of a controversy. So it actually came from an idea of Mihai Leon, who was actually observing the bubble expansion in platinum system. And what happens is that if you try to fit the velocity, at least in this system, if you try to fit the velocity with a creep law, which is fairly conventional, you're just using this logarithm of the velocity as function of the 1 over 4th of hz. What you should observe is some linear behavior where this coefficient here is truly energetic. And this coefficient here has been actually very little, hasn't been looked deeply into because it's just coefficient and you have no idea what it looks like. So usually you just do this very density over many orders of magnitude of the velocity, and what you get is something that is linear. That tells you, okay, I'm in the creep law, I'm in the creep regime, fantastic. So the thing is that now if you change the chirality of the domain, if you change the direction of the field, what you would expect from the DMI theory is that the slope here, the DMI enters the energy here, the slope should change. And what they observe is that actually depending on the field direction, or depending on the chirality of the domain, the slope doesn't change at all. What changes is the fact that there is a shift here. So basically, these zero changes, but it's not this coefficient. That's what they observe. And okay, so you know, if you want to understand what is visual, you can go to this very complicated paper from Thierry Demarty, 2000, that everybody is studying, and I would challenge you to do. It's you know, anyway, ground-edge group and so on. And in the case of an overdamped motion, which is the limiting case where you have very, very strong friction, very strong viscosity, well, you can show that the velocity, I mean, this V0 here is actually the critical force divided by the viscosity. So you have like 1 over the viscosity. So it actually means that this, so while this question is extremely energetic, then this velocity here possesses everything else. So it's energy plus dissipation. So that's what's pushed me to try to defend this current damping vision. So my point of view is more like a theory, so I try to understand if there is current damping, where could it come from? So we've been working just from symmetry, and we go very fast on the symmetry, but no, I will actually. So just from the symmetry viewpoint, you can take your damping and expand it in gradients. That's just very conventional. And what you have to remember is that whatever, I mean, the properties of any system should actually respect the symmetry of the system. This is von Neumann principle that we order in the crystallography class. So in this case, this stuff that depends on the gradient should respect the symmetry of the system. So if you have a system that breaks inversion symmetry, then this coefficient here should be an excitation value. So it's exactly the same thinking as the one that you could apply for GMI. So obviously, you can try then to apply different symmetries when you have bulk inversion symmetry, interface inversion symmetry. And what you're going to get at the end is the same symmetry as DMI. I'm not saying it's the same physics as DMI, it's not the same magnitude as DMI, but it's the same symmetry or similar symmetry. So now what we try to do is to think about different mechanisms. So Fusion already proposed one, which is the Rajdas spinner torque, and we will pass on that because it's in my time. We proposed recently some SD-DMI interaction, essentially a DMI that acts on the itinerant electron, because itinerant electrons are crucial in the system. We also proposed some anomalous spin pumping, and we just carry on that, and obviously spin swapping again, some new stuff, so I know it works. Could also give you some current damping. So basically we have some firm ground that show that theoretically at least we do have a current damping. What is funny is that if you assume that there is a current damping in these creep velocities, you can just calculate this velocity as function of infinite yields as those experimentalists were doing. So they obtain this kind of curve here, and this is what Lavejan is obtaining. And what we do obtain is something very similar. So when you're in the block regime, you have this slope here, and when you go to the near wall, you saturate in one direction on another. You actually have a change of slope here that looks like one of the experiment, claiming that we quantitatively model it, but it's actually quite interesting. So thank you very much for your attention.